Hello, everybody, and welcome to Choice, Change, and Action podcast. So, you have me, your host, Simone Milasas, and today I have a special guest, Tim James. So, welcome, Tim.
Simone, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So, we recorded a podcast on your podcast, which we will have in the subscription notes. So, if you guys want to know anything more about that, and I wanted to talk to you today. I mean, you've got so many things going on. This is not an advertisement, but why not? By the way, I did order some of your products, the Nano Silver solution and also the Parasite Free. And one of the things that I remember you said to me was, I'm not sure how it gets to Australia. I just wanted to let you know it got to Australia really easy. So it was
Awesome.
so yeah, and that doesn't happen all the time. So I'm not promising that to anyone who wants to go check out Tim's website and look at the stuff that he has, but because sometimes it does get caught up in customs. But for me, it just came so easily. So one of the things when I first did the podcast with you, and the name of your business or one of the businesses is Chemical Free Body. And I remember I rang my PR agent and I was like, what am I doing on this chemical free body? Like and then you were talking to me about Joy of Business and the fact that that's the first book that I ever wrote, Joy of Business, and looking at business in a really different way. And for me, I get so enthused by so many people that I talk to that are heading in one direction, and this direction that they think is where they should be living their life. And then all of a sudden something shows up and they pivot. And I mean, the whole name of my podcast is Choice, Change, and Action. So I like when I talk to people and they hit that pivotal moment in their life where they change tracks and they start moving in a direction that I guess there is a lightness to it. And I would call it like following the energy or letting consciousness lead you. And I know that you would describe that in a different way as well. But I want to talk about that, what happened, because I know that you were in corporate, you were in finance, etc. And then you had this pivotal moment. Can you talk about what changed for you and what showed up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And just for the listeners, from my background, I actually grew up on a small cattle and hay farm in Northeast Oregon. So I didn't grow up in the city. We had a big garden. My mom and dad, I had to weed it. I never liked weeding the garden, but when I got done, I had a lot of satisfaction. The strawberry rows were all beautiful and stuff. And then I got to eat strawberries. So that was the hard part for my mom, was like getting me to weed things without eating it all.
Right.
So, it was because I was a little kid. I'm just like, she's like, stop eating that, you know.
Right.
So fast forward. I mean, I was obviously an athlete. I played baseball for 30 years, pretty high level, and then I was a financial advisor, and we had a pretty good sized firm. We had about 18 employees, and I was getting groomed to buy out the owner and take over. He was getting ready to retire, and that's why I came on. In fact, I
Mhm.
was doing mortgages at the time, and him and I were both doing seminars, and we became really good friends. And he was just finally, he's like, "Hey, I got this great business. I I don't really trust anybody else to take it and run with it. I'd love." He just kept hounding me, and finally, I'm like, "Okay, it sounds like a good deal."
Yeah.
So just to set the tone, because most people, most humans are like, "Oh, money's like this only form of abundance type thing," and that's, I think, a major problem, because my goal was like, I always wanted to make $1 million a year in commissions, and I worked my way up pretty close to that, and then I was going to take over this firm that at the time was netting about like 2.3 million, and I think they're doing more than that now. Another guy, actually another baseball player, actually stepped in, and it was who was been a financial advisor for a long time, and I was I was just all excited about that. My friends told me I had it made, but the problem is that's not the whole context of my life. I was no longer an athlete. I was 37 years old. I was 42 pounds overweight. I had mental fog. I had psoriasis. I had eczema on my elbows, my knees cracking and bleeding. I'd be doing presentations. People were like, Tim, you're bleeding. I'd bleed through my white shirts. I had to start wearing black shirts. They would stick. It was painful. I started pooping blood for 2.5 years, and then I had to be life flighted on in a trip down in Peru with my wife and her to get an organ removed and save my life. And so I really wanted to be healthy, but I didn't know how. And the processed foods is what was getting me, and stress. And so a friend of mine had gotten cancer, on my baseball team, and we lost him, and he died at age 40. And he was really fit, but he chewed tobacco, and he had stomach cancer. So we figured the tobacco went in his gut, and that's why he got it.
Yeah.
So, my grandma died of brain cancer. My aunt had died of melanoma skin cancer. It spread, and then now another friend of mine, Charles, at age 43, got diagnosed with cancer. And he broke the news to me and then asked me if I'd go with him to this detox place in Florida called Hippocrates. And I went with him. I had no idea what I was getting into. And, day one, my acid reflux was gone. I had a few days of what they called, detox, or they called it surgery without a knife, because your body was healing up. And as I cleaned up my digestive tract and cleaned up my cells and got rid of all that stuff, I mean, I found out that the average person's packing around about 6 to 12 pounds of disease-causing impacted fecal material in our colon. I did a colon hydrotherapy session when I was there, where this water tube rectally goes in and out of you for an hour. And I dropped 11 pounds of
Wow.
this nasty
Wow.
disease-causing funk and gunk and junk. Yeah. Well, the record at the place was one woman, because they've been around like 60 years at the time. One woman dropped 27 pounds after one session. Think about that.
Oh my God. I mean, I get regular colonics every now and then. I'll do like a series of it, and I'm always amazed
It's
especially when,
insane.
yeah, and especially certain countries I travel to and the foods that I eat. And that's one of the things I mean, I'll let you go on, but I wanted to talk to you about, because I do find, as I travel so much, oh my God, the food in every country is entirely different, but it's the way they are with their crops and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. So go on with your story. And where is this place in Peru, Tim?
Well, Peru was it was in Lima where I got the surgery and stuff, but the Healing Institute's in West Palm Beach, Florida. It's called Hippocrates
Ah,
Wellness Center. So
okay.
we went there in January of 2011. The first class was this 4-hour lecture. This doctor came out. He's really fit. He's talking about internal awareness, and they were trying to get us to do the colonics. And I remember elbowing Charles and say, "Hey, look, dude, I came here to help you, but I'm not doing it." But the guy showed virtual colonoscopies of
Yeah.
4 people, 3 that were unhealthy and 1 that was. And the first one was a woman who was like 24 years old, and she had like Graves' disease, like a thyroid issue, and she also had thrush, which is a yeast infection. Now, when you
Mm,
think about, going inside of a colon and looking at it, you think you're going to see some. I'm thinking, okay, the inside of a colon's kind of skin looking stuff. It's pink, and then there's going to be brown poop in there. Well, you go inside this gal's colon, it's all white and yellow. Completely, everything's overgrown with yeast. And I was like, whoa,
wow.
that doesn't look good. Then they went
Yeah.
to a 65-year-old male that had colon cancer and parasites, and inside his colon was black like tar, midnight, and all these little white worms crawling around. And that's when everybody in the whole room was just like, ah.
Ugh.
We were all just like, our skin was crawling. Like, the doctor turned around and said, "Hey, look, this parasite thing is not a third world affair. Everybody's got them. And
Yeah.
50% of you easily are going to see these parasites coming out in your stools and other places over the next 3 weeks on this transformation program. And sometimes they won't be the big long tapeworms either. They'll be little tiny ones." He said some of your stools will look like snow. They'll be covered in all these little white fuzzy things. And some of them are amoebas. They're inside and you won't even see them. Some of you will see them crawling out of your pores and your skin. And now, I mean, everybody in the room is freaked out, right? So they click and then went to the next deal. And there was a 45-year-old female with breast cancer inside of her, black colon, black like midnight, little brown stuff. And then they went to the healthy person and you could see the pink lining and some brown stuff. And I'm just like, I got it. It's an inside game. And so I
Yeah.
signed up, got the colon hydrotherapy session, blah, blah, blah. A few days later, I was at lunch and one woman actually had a parasite crawling out of her eye. And I was like, don't let that get in your salad. And she ran off to the bathroom hysterical.
Wow.
So this is happening on the daily at this place. And there's other places around the world, like Mountains of Hope. It's another healing clinic in Medellin, Colombia. That's a really good one that I was part of for a short period of time. But anyway, yeah, so that was the beginning of the journey. I came home and I changed my lifestyle. And within
So
60 days, I dropped the 42 pounds. Uh, the skin issues on my elbows were completely gone. The other skin issue on my back gone. Energy returned. I want to start working out again. About 8 months later, the big patch of eczema was gone on my knee, and I completely healed myself by changing my diet. I learned how to become my own doctor and self heal, and and it was amazing. And like people like couldn't even believe it that knew me, like how
Yeah.
fast that I transformed. And then they started listening, and that turned into classes. And then my friend John came over and he's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I told you." Like he was people weren't listening. Because I was telling my friend's going to heal a cancer, and they thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
But everybody that was there was like, there was people that were healing of it, or already had, and they were bringing friends that had. And I told
Yeah.
Charles, I'm like, "Dude, do you feel as good as I do?" I'm like, I have energy literally tingling in my arms, dude. We've discovered the fountain of youth. It's just clean up the body, get the garbage out, put in good, fresh, living nutrition, and learn how to reduce and respond differently to stress. And I'm like, "You're gonna heal, man." And like, "I'm gonna do this whole program with you." We came home and we changed our lives. And he's still alive today, 14 years later. He completely healed himself. No chemo, no radiation, no surgery. And it happened right in front of my face. So as Charles and I healed, my friend John came over, and he saw that I lost 42 pounds so quick. And that's what got him interested. I told him my little spiel I told you guys about, changing my diet and all that stuff, and eating, juicing, and all that stuff. And drinking lots of clear water. I mean, geez, let's think water works. And
Yeah.
then he brought Eric over, another real estate agent. The next day, he goes, "Tell Eric your story." And then that turned into classes. And I had 5,500 people to my house for these detox nutritional educational classes. And we'd make food together and juices, and people would have energy for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days after that one dose of living nutrition at our house. And I'm like, just imagine what your life could be like if you made a lifestyle like I have. And you can totally reclaim your health and go way beyond what you could even possibly think. And so, anyway, that was kind of the beginning of the story. And then the change happened, um, as far as the career goes, when my little brother was killed in a mountain biking accident. And so
Mhm.
I was grieving. I didn't really have a very good spiritual path back then. I mean, I don't know what that stuff was back then. And I wasn't punching walls, but I'd walk by the bed and slam the bed like the Hulk. I was just so mad my little brother was gone. He had 3 little girls, one bun in the oven as when he died. And one day I was sitting at my desk, and I remember just yelling out. I get these frustrating moments, and I yelled out, "Troy, what do you want me to do?" And I literally heard him say, like he was in the room, "Do what you love and do it now." And I picked up my cell phone and I called Jeff, the owner of the financial company, and that I was taking over. And I said, "Jeff, I'm out." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, I'm out. I'm getting out of financial services." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I mean, it's just like, I mean, I've probably got at least 35,000 of my own money invested into my career at that point. And a lot of time, long days, but big company. And everybody said I had it made. And I'm just like, "Look, my brother's dead. He went out doing what he loved. He loved mountain biking. He broke his neck." But I'm like, and I said, "I want to help people with their health." I said, "I'm Jeff. I thought I was scared, man. I was living in fear. I'm like so confident now in my health. I feel so good. I feel like I could go play baseball again. I can do anything. I feel invincible." And I'm more excited about telling people about green juices and sprouts than I am about, tax savings and setting up trusts and financial planning, which is what we were doing. And so I spent the next, I don't know, 5, 6 months handing all my clients back off to him and the other people on the team. And I exited stage left. I didn't know what I was going to do. I bought a big dry erase board and I just started coaching people. And then I eventually started charging for it. And eventually people paid more and more. And people pay me a lot of money now to coach them. And I try not to coach people anymore. I try to do more in group settings and give away everything for free as the education goes. And we make most of our money with our food-based detox and nutrition supplements now in our water systems.
But you've also, yeah, which is some of these. And I want to say, let's pick up the parasite thing for a second as well. And I'm not looking, like I said, this to be like this advertisement, but a long time ago, I mean, I travel a lot, as you know, and I used to travel to India a lot with a previous business that I had like 3 or 4 times. And
Yeah.
it was years ago. And I remember I'd come home and I hadn't done a solid poop in 18 months. And I went to the doctor and I was like, "Hey, this is happening." And they did, there's some small tests and they were like, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I was like, there's something not correct with me. This was probably I'm going to say 30 years ago. So I don't get that we had as much available 30 years ago to look at stuff. Like, I don't even think they ever did a stool test. They just did some blood tests, etc., and said there's nothing wrong with
Well,
you.
if
And I
this
was
is
like,
Western medicine, if they're doing a stool test for parasites, they're only looking for a few of them, and there's a lot of
yeah.
them. So they're probably statistically they're not going to find anything.
And
Even you, and you still might have them.
yeah, oh, I know. And I had acne all on my throat because my body just was not holding on to any nutrients whatsoever. So I started to look into different things, but I do get that I am prone to parasites. I looked at your thing here, the parasite free, and to do it over 3 months. I brought 3 bottles so I can do it over 3 months. The ingredients you have here, because I've done a lot of research on this myself, and I've done various different things. You have amazing ingredients here. Like, I was like, oh yeah, this is all the things that I know actually work for getting rid of parasites. And
Were
I
you
just
were
want
you
to
surprised on the grapefruit in there?
say, you told me about the grapefruit, so that's the part. Yeah. So, but talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just I didn't do this, so it's our formulator, Dr. Scott Treadway, our late formulator. He's passed away. He died in a back surgery thing. Unfortunately, he slept. We had that big snowstorm in Texas a couple years ago, and he
Yeah.
slipped and fell. And he knows all the natural ways of doing stuff, and he tried a bunch of stuff, but it just the way it happened, he had to get surgery, and then he ended up dying from that. But which sucked. But yeah, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but I did have another formulator, and she looked at it and she's like, "Oh, grapefruit. Yes, of course." And she had like this big epiphany because she had actually formulated a parasite detox formula for another company. And
Yeah.
she's like, "That is so genius." And she actually explained it to me. And now for some reason it's escaping my mind. But anyway, it's the synergies. The thing about him is Dr. Treadway is that not only did he put things in that were anti-parasitic, but it's
Mm.
the percentages and the combinations. There's like he studied Indian herbology for a long time. He's a master herbalist in Indian herbology, Chinese herbology, and Western herbology. So his genius is in this formula. But even that, I would give it a 50% weight. Just as important is it took him 21 years to get all of his raw material sourcing the way he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And so I got to piggyback off of, that basically now 41 years of his doing this stuff and his sourcing. And
Mm.
so that's why our products are so awesome. They're awesome because I seek perfection for myself,
Yeah.
and he came into my life. He was at I'd interviewed over 30 labs and
Yeah.
formulators, and when I finally met him, he was saying all the right things. He knew about life force and Kirlian
Yeah.
photography, and he was able to measure that. He was like, "Oh yeah, we have 2 of those units, and we measure the energetics after processing to make sure it's still the life force is intact." And he's like, "All of the raw materials are sun dried or air dried under 110 degrees to keep the electrons in place." And I'm like, "This is my guy," So
Yes.
that's why
Well,
stuff works so well.
I was just about to say too, because I mean, access consciousness is so much about empowering you to know that you know, and it's a lot of energetic stuff. And so for me, it's like when I spoke to you and I looked at your stuff and I looked at your website and I was like, ooh, this. And it's like I do go a lot on the energetics. And it's like even when it arrived, I was like, oh yeah, I could perceive the energy of my body going, yes, please. And,
Yeah.
I'll buy some supplements and I'll take them for a while. And then my body's just like, oh, no, thanks. Like, it's like, we're done. Like a naturopath might say, you should take XYZ for how long, whatever. It's like, please ask your bodies. Please, please, please ask your bodies. Every single body is so different. And if something like that, check out Tim's website. We'll have it in the subscription notes. But if something is pinging you, like ask your body what it desires and requires, and ask your body if it has parasites, and because so many bodies have parasites, and people do, they think it's only people with animals or only people that in third world countries, and it's not true. It's like, it's nowadays with our food and everything that goes on, it's like there is a lot of parasite stuff that goes on, and not to make it significant, and you might not have intestines like Tim was talking about, and you might
Well,
before.
here's the thing with the parasites is that, what I was taught that got me motivated was he said, "Look, pretty much everybody's got them, all right, at
Mm,
some level.
Yeah.
And if you have a really amazing immune system and you're eating fresh food, yeah, your immune system probably keep it in check. But how many people are doing that? I mean, how many people
Yeah.
are literally eating all their food fresh right out of the ground? I mean, it's like nobody. I mean, I'm probably one of the people that's closer to that. I mean, I was a living fooder for 7 years, but the what was I going with this? So it was about the parasites. Oh, but he said that the parasites, they eat your food, they drink your drink, they urinate and defecate in you, and then they have sex and lay thousands of eggs.
Mm.
And that's when I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get a colon hydrotherapy session. I mean, I'm just like, okay, I'm sold. I'm doing it. I just want to
Yeah.
clean my body up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about. So anyway, guys, check it out. The Parasite Free. I highly recommend it. Ask your body. Ask your body. One of the things that I wanted to also talk to you about, Tim, is you have been starting the regenerative farming at your place. And one of the things you said to me too was you wanted your whole valley in Oregon. I'm not sure whereabouts are you in Oregon?
I'm in the Grand Ronde Valley, and the closest town is La Grande or Somerville. I'm kind of in between both of them, but the largest
Okay.
town, which has 11,975 people, is about 6-7 miles away, 5-6 miles, well, 6-7 miles away from me.
Okay. And you were looking at, because I've it's pretty close to my heart, regenerative farming. I think it's definitely the future of what we should look at. And I'm going to mention I gave you the name of a documentary too. It's called Rachel's Farm. It's awesome. It's on YouTube and you can watch that. It's about it's an Australian actress actually, and what she created with her regenerative farming in Victoria. And there's a lot of where I live at the moment. There's a lot of people who are looking into the regenerative farming. And for me, it's like this one step beyond organic, biodynamic, etc. It's where we should be functioning from. So I wanted to ask you some questions about how you got into that and how you see that being and the importance of it or the
Sure,
relevance.
sure. Well, I grew up on a farm, so I mean, between us and our neighbors, we had every animal. We had horses, cows, goats, chickens, pigs, ducks, geese, rabbits, dogs, cats, and I mean, I think we had a goldfish. We had a lot
Mhm.
of stuff. And when I moved back here a few years ago, about 4 years ago, in May, to help my mom take care of my father. It was just getting too much on her. And shortly after I moved here, she fell and broke stuff. And it was an 8-month recovery period. And as she was just coming back, she got diagnosed with cancer, and it just was like turbo through her entire body. It was horrible. I did hospice care for a year and a half. And so while this is all going on, I bought a trailer, moved it onto the property because I can't live in the house because they have the TVs going 24/7.
Right.
And living in a trailer, and while I'm building um like a shop and then a place to live, like a barn dominium, like a really custom house inside of a part of it. And I'm sitting there looking, and the neighbors are spraying wheat with glyphosate, and I watched this massive tractor go. I mean, she's probably 300 feet from me, go right
Mm.
by with a south wind, and I can see out the other window over there, the little neighbor kids are like 2 to 4 years old, and I watch this big cloud of toxins go right over the top of my neighbor kids, and then I'm like, I have to do something about this. This was another epiphany moment, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not really wanting to do a lot of farming anymore because it's a lot of work, and and so I'm just wanting to run my business and live on the farm and whatever, maybe hire a groundskeeper or something. And I'm like, what could I do to make the biggest difference? And I'm like, geez, I've spent all this time helping people one on one and in group settings reclaim their health by going inward like I did and showing them, like, you've got 6 to 12 pounds of crap in your gut, in your colon.
Mm.
If you want to get healthy, you got to get it out. Okay. You also might have a black, brown, viscous mucoid plaque in your small intestine. We want to get that out. And guess what? Your cells are full of crap, and they're not detoxing properly, and you're not getting enough. You're dehydrated on a cellular level. And so we work on that, and we start getting people fresh foods, and we start getting them good quality fats to rebuild the lipid membranes and blah, 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 blah. We do all this stuff, and we help people. But the problem is that, and I was just talking to a naturopathic doctor who actually healed herself of stage 4 cancer. It was all in her. she opened up this cancer institute and she's helping people like crazy. I'm helping people like crazy reclaim their health and longevity. But I look at it like this, Simone. We are at a river that's at the mouth of a river going into the ocean. And let's say the ocean is like death in this scenario. And
Mm-hmm.
these people are coming down the river, drowning, and some of them are raising their hand saying, "Save me." Now, some of them are drowning and they're like, "Nope, I'm not going to change." And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's a valid choice. Down the hole they go. But some are raising their hands and we reach out, and we throw them a life raft, a lifeline, we pull them in, and they make the changes and they save themselves. But I said, look what we're doing. I said, we're downriver. The problem is upriver. What's causing all these problems? And the problem is is farming, the farming practices. It all starts with that. Because if the farmer is tilling the soil, it's destroying the digestive tract of the plant. The soil microbiome is the very same gut microbiome inside of us. And so our gut is just inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
But the trees and the plants and the crops, the gut's outside of them. And if you want to make a tree strong, then you focus on the soil quality. But that's not what it's been. It's been like, oh, spray, kill, 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 kill the natural evolution that I mean, I can go up here in the forest anytime. It's like I pick huckleberries every single year. And guess what? I don't have to water them. I don't have to weed them. I don't have to plant them. I just go pick the perfect huckleberry every year. They're always there. They're just there and it just works. It's a beautiful natural system. And that soil microbiome is amazing. Okay. So farmers, not like they're bad people, because I live around all of them. They're some of the best people on the planet. Okay. Like my neighbor over here, he'd come over when I was gone. He'd plow the driveway open for my parents, help my dad fix his tractor because he was younger and he could help him. Well, he ended up getting cancer. And I said, "Do you spray glyphosate?" He's like, "Oh, yeah. That's probably why I got cancer." Because I told the doctor, I'm not going to they're like, "Oh, we got to get you into chemotherapy and do all this." And he's like, "I ain't doing any of that." He goes, "I'm just going to drink hydrogen peroxide and eat garlic." And, and the doctor's like, "Okay." That guy's still alive. This was like 6, 7 years ago because he knew a friend that he did that. I'm not
Yeah.
recommending that to everybody, but that's what he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways people are doing stuff for cancer and all kinds of stuff. So we have these really good people, but they just don't know. I mean, when you think about it, if you have to put on a hazmat suit to spray food that you're going to
Yeah.
sell,
Exactly.
there's a little bit of a
You might
disconnection
want to have a
there.
look at that. Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing? And 97%, 98% of those toxins don't stay on the plants. They get in the water and go down the creeks and the streams and get into the fish and into the ecosystem. And now like 72% of rainwater has glyphosate in it. And glyphosate is going to destroy the gut microbiome and leave behind a very powerful bad one called Pseudomonas aeruginosa that's in the soil and stuff like that. And then it secretes these proteases that eat connective tissue. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Right. And it's a great chelator too, because glyphosate was originally, used to clean metal tanks. It wasn't supposed to be an herbicide. So it pulls metals and stuff out. It's not good. So I realized, like, if I want to make the biggest difference, I need to change the whole valley here. And how am I
Mm.
going to do that? I got to get in with the farmers. I got to educate them and say, "Hey, look, I know plenty of these soil microbiologists and people that are helping farmers increase their profits 10 to 20% year one, reduce their chemicals they're spraying 100%. So not only can they stop killing people slowly with their food that they're growing, but they can stop killing themselves and their workers that they're spraying. And they can also reduce their water usage by 50%. This is just standard issue year one stuff, right? Some of these farmers have increased their profits up to 500%, and they don't need government subsidies anymore, right? And they start building quality soil. Now, if all the farmers stop spraying chemicals overnight, and do you think that might change a few things? It's
Yeah.
huge. We're going upriver. You stop the chemical assault, and if you guys don't think you have chemicals in you, when you're done listening to this podcast, type in these 3 words in your browser: umbilical cord chemical. Umbilical cord chemical. And you'll see all the studies that I saw going back to 2005. Every single time they look at the umbilical cord blood of a newborn baby and their mother, supposedly that should be the healthiest people on the planet, young mother and a baby, and they look for 250 chemicals. they will find about 71% of what they're looking for. They'll find 180 cancer-causing chemicals, 212 chemicals cause brain development disorders, dysfunction. This is in the womb.
Yeah.
This is in the
Yeah.
womb. And here's the thing. There's over 100,000 chemicals out there that are being manufactured. There's 2,000 new chemicals every year, and only 1/4 of 1% are tested. The rest are released on the market. So if you extrapolate that out, if there's 100,000 chemicals at 71%, you have the potential to have 71,000 chemicals in your body, in your children's body, your grandchildren's body, and that's just in the blood serum. If you look at the fat and the muscle tissue, the concentrations are 500 to 1,000% even more concentrated. Anybody out there trying to lose weight? Well, how are you going to lose weight when your body's fat is holding onto these chemicals as a protective mechanism to save you? And you can go work out all you want. It's not going to release the fat until it's a safe environment. So you have to create a very alkalizing, safe environment so your body can start detoxing these chemicals out, and then the fat will release itself. Otherwise, it's not going to do it. And so this is why a lot of people struggle with losing weight. So I realized that I have got to get this message out to people. It's like if they just did one thing, it's like stop putting chemicals in your body, eat fresh food, get nutrients into the body, and learn how to reduce and respond differently to stress. Those are the three things: detox, flood with nourishment, and reduce and respond differently to stress. And those are the three principles I've been living and teaching for the last 14 years. And I can tell you emphatically, they work. Okay. For those that take action, they flat work. So this is upstream, upriver. That's what I'm doing. So I have a guy moving in with me. He's going to live here and film this. Our goal is to get this entire valley chemical free. And we're going to do that by educating the farmers and letting them become more profitable. And they'll stop spraying chemicals, and they can actually stop tilling, which is less diesel. They can stop pumping half the water. That's less diesel to pump the water and power. And we're all going to sing Kumbaya. I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this, but
you're on it.
that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited
I have
about
a couple of questions because this is conversations that I've had with different people. Like, so for instance, I've even got a friend in Colombia, and she inherited a whole lot of land. And she was like, well, what do I do with this land? And she said to a lot of the farmers around, hey, look, if you want to grow something on my land, come talk to me. The one stipulation I have is we're not using chemicals, right? And they were like, there is no other way. So, and that's the one point of view that I see so many farmers have is there is no other way. So can you just briefly sort of talk about what that other way is? Because I think that's where people just slam the door shut and go, oh, you're crazy. I'm going to get bugs. I'm going to get caterpillars. I'm going to get all
Well,
this
there's multiple ways. And the reason why you're getting bugs and caterpillars is because you have weak ass soil. Like the people need to start becoming students of soil. And I'm not like a super expert, but the reality is that if you have, everybody knows this. Like if you take antibiotics, what are they also telling you to take? Probiotics. Why?
Yeah.
Even some of the doctors tell you, because the antibiotics are going to destroy your gut microbiome, which is what? Your immune system. You're going to now become weakened and be more susceptible to other bugs, viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus, parasites, all this crap, right? And so you want to, after you take your antibiotic, you should wait 3 to 4 hours and take a probiotic. And then take your antibiotic in the afternoon, wait 3 to 4 hours, 2 to 3, 4 hours, and take your probiotic. And people know this stuff. But when it comes to soil, it's like, vroom, they miss it, right? But it's right there in front of you. And there's so many farms where there's one next door to a farm that's completely regenerative agriculture versus one that sprays chemicals. The soil is not even comparable. One's dark and rich and growing and getting thicker every year, and the other guy's got like a barren wasteland. It looks terrible. It's like clay. So what the farmers can do is they can start. The whole goal is to recolonize the bacterium as best as you can in the soil. If you take care of the farmer's main job is soil ecology. If the farmer does that, then the plants will take care of themselves. And there's other ways too. When I was 16, we had an organic farmer in town growing stuff, and I worked for him, and he grew a bunch of corn. And what's the problem with corn? Well, you get worms in there. Butterflies come in, they lay their eggs, and they eat, and it gets all wormy. Guess what he did? He just bought 100,000 ladybugs. We had boxes of ladybugs, and we walked around, sprinkled the ladybugs all over the corn. We didn't have any worms.
That's awesome. I
Not
love
one.
that.
I mean, you have a
Yeah.
couple, but I was like, I opened tons of corn. We never even saw worms, right?
Yeah.
So there's one example. That's not even talking about
Yeah.
the soil. So what you can do, there are soil amendments and compost teas that you can do. We actually just acquired. We have rights now. We have a water system
Mhm.
that creates fourth phase structured water. And we don't have the agricultural links up yet, but there's a farm down in California that has lemon trees and avocado trees, and they have a big blight issue, and they're only one of uh, two farms in the United States that have this particular blight issue. It's actually pretty rampant down in the country of Chile, but
Mhm.
anyway, it's destroying his farm, and they also have snail issues. And why is this? Because they have weak ass soil. That's why. So Joseph, are the inventor of this system, cut it out of the 400 acres. We got a 40-acre section. Cut a section out and put in the pipe a 3-inch industrial water hero unit. The water goes through, changes the bond angle from 105.4 to 120, restructures the water, charges the water with energy, and off it goes. It also structures minerals in the water, like calcite and aragonite forms of calcium will be converted to
Mm.
vaterite, which is a very soft form. So it actually reduces water hardening, scaling, and all that stuff. So he waters it, but after 1 month, the farmer did a plant tissue and sap sample analysis on those trees, and the plants came back 100 to 150% more nutrition in the plant in the tissues. But
Wow.
the toxic aluminum had dropped 400% in the plant. I don't know
Wow.
if your listeners are familiar with that, but we've got a lot of toxic aluminum that's been sprayed on us for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, chemtrails and that kind of stuff. So this is massive stuff. Now the other thing is, if you look at the lemons on the trees that were treated with the water, it's just water,
Mhm.
as nature intended. They were big and green and still growing. Where the tree that's right next to it on the other side of the road, and this is just a dirt road with
Mm.
grass in the middle and the sides. I mean, it's just a little road that goes down the thing. Same trees, they're ripe and they're collapsing on themselves with that blight. And so a lot of the blight was gone. We saw more growth in that month and a week that the water was sprayed on, treated with those trees than all the other trees had grown in like 4 to 6 months. More
Wow.
growth.
Yeah.
And that was just 1 month. And the farmer's like, wow, this is amazing. What else should we do? And he's like, you should get birds in here. He's like, what are you talking about? He goes, you should get chickens and ducks. He's like, why? And he's like, because he goes, they have very good eyes and they're really good bug eaters and they'll just eat up bugs. And he's like, well, that won't work. We've got foxes and raccoons and skunks and coyotes. And he said, you don't understand how nature works. If you put a whole bunch of ducks out here and a whole bunch of chicken pens all over the place, the the foxes and they're always, if it comes down to chasing a chicken and burning 200 calories versus eating its egg and burning 2 calories, it's always just going to eat the egg, right? So you will lose some chickens, you will lose some ducks, but they're going to be constantly reproducing and making more, and you're going to have a natural balance to your ecosystem. And so that's what we're trying to get people to come back to, is this natural balance, like the huckleberries that I can go pick up on the mountain. The farmers can actually recreate that and build up the soil ecology, and then the plants become very, very strong. I don't know if you've seen that electroculture with the copper, where people take copper
Oh,
and they
yep,
put it,
yep, I have.
they put it in the ground, and the plants just explode with growth. Well,
Yeah.
because that was one of the things that I have on my checklist. I'm like,
Yeah.
electroculture. I'm going to do that to the farm. I'm going to put the
Yeah.
water system on our farm. I have some soil amendments. I've got the sprayers and the tanks. I'm going to be spraying that stuff. And I have my
Yeah.
little list of just the stuff that I've seen where people are kicking butt. And Joseph is like, if you put this type of water on the ground and the plants get it, the plants get so strong. The plants become the antennas themselves.
Yeah.
Like, because in nature, like those huckleberries don't need coiled copper in there. Why?
No, because
Because they are the antennas themselves, because they're in a natural balance.
yeah, I
So,
had to Google huckleberry when you said it.
oh, they're
So we don't have
amazing. They're
huckleberries.
my
It's like
favorite
blueberries.
berry ever.
Yeah. Are they
They have a
similar to
complete.
blueberries,
They're a
right?
little bit smaller, but their taste is completely different, and they're amazing.
Okay, I didn't think I've ever come across a huckleberry. So next time I'm in the US, I'm gonna have to find out, like,
They're
get some
unreal.
huckleberries. Yeah,
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 and if your first experience, I hope that you would get a real fresh one so you could taste the berries themselves, because they'll put a lot of sugar in them and weird stuff and
Right.
jams
Okay.
and
No,
stuff like
I
that.
will
But
do
if
my
do the
best.
best
Oh,
you can. But there's
God,
nothing
talk
better than
about
a
eating
huckleberry
fresh.
pie.
There's some friends of mine that live a couple of hours north, and eating asparagus from their farm when you just break it off and you just eat the
Yep.
asparagus straight away is like incredible. So I'm so here's something I want to ask you too, because I'm so intrigued, and I've also just gone back onto your website to look at all the water devices and stuff like that you have, because I'm an absolute water snob is what I call myself. And I get it's also because I know my body acknowledges or recognizes shitty water and great water, and the difference that it actually makes with my body, like when it feels hydrated or when you can drink so much water and it doesn't seem like there's anything going on with the cells in my body. I noticed that traveling is really interesting because you're constantly, every country and every city you go to, you're constantly being in question about what can I find here. That's one of the first things I do
Yeah.
is pick water, like wherever I am.
I'm the same way. I go find my water source. Luckily,
Yeah.
we have a handheld device you can take with you for
I just
travel
found that.
purposes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what we have people do is there's whole house units. So if you have like a one bathroom, two people or less, then you just need the 3/4 inch model. If you're two bathrooms, three people or more, then you need the 1 inch. And then you just put it in the pipe, and
Mm,
all the water is now structured. The water is going to become softer because, again,
yeah.
it's converting those harder forms of calciums and stuff into softer forms of vaterite forms of calcium. It charges the water. When the water goes through this system, it actually creates what's called an endothermic reaction.
Hmm.
And this unit, guys, is not plugged in. Okay, we're talking. It's made of antimicrobial copper and brass. It's got water harmonizing quartz out of Brazil. They're cut. Then he sends them. Then we send those. The inventor sends them to India to get milled a certain way that he likes, and then he installs them in the units. And then he actually takes seawater, morning dew water, ash, and plant resins, and he mixes that, makes this coating, and he coats it. And then what ends up happening is that it's a frequency transfer. It's almost like homeopathic medicine. So it's transferring the frequency of the minerals from
Yeah.
that coating into the metals directly into the water. So you're getting this not just literally energized water, but it's almost like a homeopathic mineral water as well. It's crazy. And
Wow.
so this thing he's invented is quite so an endothermic reaction means that the water temperature is going to get colder. That means
Hmm.
it's bringing energy into solution, and it's charging up not just the positive and the negative, but it's also creating many more positive and negatives in the structure. So instead of just having a positive and a negative that's charged up, it will have like many more positives and negatives, and it's all charged up. So when you're
Yeah.
talking about things that are called hydrophilic surfaces, that are water loving surfaces, that especially like cells, like you're
Yeah.
talking about getting hydrated, you can drink water, but you don't feel hydrated.
Yeah.
That's because the water's all clumped up in the molecule structure. And so this breaks that all up and gives it many more sites. So when you have a cell, you have this fat or what's called a lipid membrane, but in that are all these protein strands that have hydrophilic surfaces on the outside, um, and they pull the water in and the nutrients in that way, but they have to be able to make contact with it to come in. And so this is when the water's restructured the way it's supposed to be in nature, it can make contact very easily. And then the water can go into the cell, it can bring nutrients into the cell, and it can also bring the waste matter out. So I think it's kind of a magical device that he's created,
I do
but
too. I do too.
at
Yeah.
the same time, it's like what it's basically doing is just it's getting it back to where it should have been in nature in the first place.
And I think that's the whole thing here too with regenerative farming and everything that you're speaking about is I think we went a little crazy with everything that has occurred in our world and what we invented, etc. And I really do honestly think it's time to get back to that. Well, as you said, what nature intended. It's like how it should be, how the earth should be, how we should be with the earth, how we should be in communion with it. I think a lot of people just, they stomp upon our planet rather than actually looking what's underneath them. And I do think it's time to start looking like the soil is incredible and what we create with that. And the whole ecosystem that works underneath the soil is just is incredible of how that actually
It's amazing, actually. If you guys
contributes
should
to
watch,
everything.
oh God, there's so many. There's Paul Stamets. He has on, I think, Netflix or something, like Amazing Fungi or something. I can't remember what it's called,
Oh yeah,
but
fun. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, God, I can't
it'll
think of the
talk
name of
about the
it.
mycelium networks. It's actually the largest
Yes.
organism on the world. You
Yeah.
have these networks of these mycelium under the soil and the bacterium, and the mycelium work with the plants, and they talk to the plants like, "What do you need?" And the tree on this hill is like, "I need some
Yeah.
zinc." And through its
Yeah.
network,
Okay.
it'll bring zinc over to
Yeah.
it, and in return, it'll secrete, the tree on its roots
Yeah.
secretes these sugars for the mycelium to grow.
Yeah.
And
It's phenomenal.
I've
And that's
inoculated all of our garden beds with mycelium last year, and then when the water would hit, like we get a
yeah.
rain, or if I had water at night, boom, huge mycelium blooms. All the bark chips would just like pop up like these little mushrooms,
Yeah.
and then they just go away, and they'd
Yeah.
spore out. And so by inoculating this, these mycelium network is now going to grow, and eventually it's just the neighbors are going to get it, and everybody else is going to get it, as long as they're not spraying. And
Mm.
it'll start, it's just amazing how it's going to
It's
heal the
called
plants.
Yeah, it's called Fantastic Fungi, and it's been around
Yeah.
for quite a while, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I'll put it in the subscription notes too. So there's so many different things that we've spoken about here too. I just want to the last thing I'd like to touch on with you too, Tim, is you were talking about, like, everybody looking at, I mean, your gut health, right? Your gut biome. And I think nowadays there's a lot of people who are looking at this and then they're like, okay, I get it. And what do I choose? So if you're looking at the cellular structure and the colon, like the colon cleansing and the gut health, what are some of the things that you would recommend that people choose just today, that they could choose today? Because I think sometimes people put it in this like, oh my God, that's too hard. Like you said, you've actually got to take some action.
Yeah. Well, we try to make everything simple. I know that most people can't take off 2 or 3 weeks and spend $7,000 to $22,000 and go to one of these detox centers, but I wish everybody could.
Mm.
I went full in because I just went to support a friend. I literally had no idea what I was getting into. I just
Yeah.
went to help my friend. I had no idea
Yeah.
about anything.
Yeah.
I
Well,
literally
I've
didn't.
seen
I
a
knew it.
photo of you probably before you went, and the difference of you is incredible,
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. And the photo of you too is such a common thing I would see, where it's like, you thought you were happy, it's heading in the
Yeah.
direction you were going, and it's like
Yeah,
I see
I
the
would say that
photo.
I was in
Yeah.
denial. Thought I was happy. Everything was going good for me financially and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But there was these moments during the day, like when I had to poop, which it was very painful, and I actually started getting anxiety around it. And then when blood comes out when you poop, and your elbows are cracking and bleeding every day, and your knees are cracking and bleeding, after a while, it starts wearing on you.
Yeah.
Pain is not. It's it's not fun, and it's hard to think when you're in pain.
Yeah.
It's hard to do anything, contribute when you're in pain.
Yeah.
So my mission with what we've done with Chemical Free Body, Simone, is we've tried to, with Dr. Treadway's help, is make some real food, herbal based products. My whole life has been, the last 14 years has been trying to find the best absolute stuff I can on the planet,
Hmm.
try it out, see if it works for me. And if it does, then I tell everybody about it. That's
Yeah.
it. And so the Tim James that you're listening to today, a year from now, for 5 years from now, I'm going to get healthier. That's my
Mm.
goal. So I just tell people, just, if you're healthier than me, then I'll listen to you. But if I'm healthier than you, maybe you should listen to me for a little bit,
Yeah.
because I'm not running around BSing people. I'm trying to get to the bottom of people's issues, because I know what it's like to live in fear and
Yeah.
feel stuck. So
Yeah.
if you can't make it to an institute, what we can do is we can give you lots of free stuff. I do free education. I got the free podcast, Tim James Unleashed. I teach a class tonight. Any of our clients that are on we just changed. This is new. I used to charge $37 a month for our inner circle calls that I do every week, which I'm going to be doing one in 28 minutes, or $997 lifetime membership. Now,
Hmm.
if you're buying at least one product a month from us, and we have a whole bunch of them you can try, you get it for free.
Yeah.
It's free. You got a free coach, and I want to coach you. And my team wants to love on you, because I know just
Yeah.
buying a product, sometimes they're like, well, I want to lose some weight, and they buy Green 85, and that's good. And we've had people lose 40, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 pounds doing that stuff. But you could have speeded it up a little bit if you would have got the gut detox, right? Because
Yeah.
or went and got a colon hydrotherapy session. This is where the coaching comes in. So what we do is, like, if somebody is in the beginning and they want to like just reboot their life, kind of reclaim their health, it's an internal game. We gut detox and water are number one. And you see, the whole time I've been sitting here, I'm drinking water. I'm actually on day 1 of a water fast today, but water is the lubricant of life. Water is number one.
Good
You want to start
water.
detoxing?
Good water.
Yes, clean,
Yeah. Clean water.
restructured water. Clean, structured water is what you need. And so that gut detox formula is actually not one of Dr. Treadway's formulas. It's actually an ancient formula from India, and it's over 5,000 years old. And people take it to balance themselves. He said at the 2 clinics that he worked at and trained at and mentored at, every single person, no matter what their health issue was or what was going on, the guru there put him on that product, the doctor. Period. He goes, I've been taking this for 41 years. I'm like, okay, so how did I get it? Well, I was giving people Green 85 because that was our first product. And I noticed a very small percentage of people, they would take Green 85, would actually plug them up. Why? Because it was not only nutrifying them, but it was cleaning from the top down. And they were so plugged up with that 6 to 12 to 27 pounds of gunk that some of them would get plugged up. And so I was putting them on a magnesium supplement that would turn to oxygen and liquefy it. And then people were having diarrhea for 5 days, but it was cleaning them out.
Yeah.
When I told Scott about what I was doing, he goes, your thought process was right, but it's a little rough on people, Tim, to do that. He goes, I said, well, what do you suggest? And he's like, well, this formula. He goes, it's for so many other things, but if we double down on it for 15 days and take 3 capsules in the morning and night, it will micro cleanse their intestinal villi with the funk and the gunk and the junk, not just in the large intestine, but also the small intestine. And he goes, and it won't disrupt their gram-positive bacterium. I was like, oh, because the magnesium one was cleaning everything out. I'm like, well, this is great. So water, gut detox, the greens for the nutrition, because we need your body needs nutrition to repair cells and to heal, period. That's a major component. And then that nano silver solution that you have, that one for sure on people, because that one's going to go in. It works on viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus. For me as a coach, I've been a huge proponent of colloidal silver for years, but this one makes colloidal silvers obsolete. A couple years ago, we switched, and now we have that on our deal, and it's way better. And it's clinically proven 300% more effective at 32 parts per million versus 10,000 part per million colloidal silver in a study against MRSA, which is a very tough bacterium. Killed it in 30 minutes on the first test, where the 10,000 ppm colloidal killed it in like over 4 hours. Still works. It's just not near as effective.
Yeah.
And so that one is going to go in. It's going to start clearing the room. So the gut detox goes in and gets rid of the physical material, but then the silver will go in and besides boosting the immune system and reducing inflammation, it will start actually clearing the room of the gram-negative bacterium, but not the gram-positive. That's a huge thing. So for me, it's like a Swiss Army knife, because it goes in and works on yeast, fungus, molds, and even some parasites. That's why we have it in the parasite bundle along with the parasite-free product, because parasites are bugs, but amoebas and stuff. But I consider the other things kind of parasites too: yeast, fungus, molds. If they're out of control, I mean, they should be in a very little, teeny, small amounts, or not at all. Over half the people that I've tested have candida. That's a problem, people. It's gonna rob years of your life away from you and the quality of your life. So anyway, that's what I put people on in the beginning. And then we have our probiotic, prebiotics. People have severe gastrointestinal issues. We also have them start taking our ultra enzymes with their meals to help start liquefying their food, and rehabilitating that gut microbiome as we start, and the peristaltic action as we start adding in back a little bit more raw, uncooked, unprocessed food, which is going to be the resistance. It's going to be the weights. And if you haven't been lifting weights for a long time, you start lifting weights, it's going to be sore and it's going to be heavy. That's what raw food is. If you've been eating all the whole cooked food life your whole life, and you start putting some raw food in, the enzymes are going to work like a spotter to assist you over a 2 to 3 year period as you rehabilitate that gut. And then after 2 or 3 years, you don't need those, but I still take them for anti-aging purposes. So anyway, we have a plan, and you can start with Nothing, and
Sounds
just water, or you can get gut detox and the greens or
yeah,
silver, and we have different bundle specials for people, and we'll ship a clinic in a box right to you, and then you got me as a coach to hold your hand at the process. We're really good at incubating people, Simone, and getting them going. And my
yeah,
first goal is to get you energy. That's it. People come to me, I want
yeah,
to get you energy, because with energy
yeah.
you can do anything.
I love it. Thank you so much, Tim. And we will have all of your details in the show notes below. But if you're just listening, you can go to chemicalfreebody.com and all those different, or everything there. It's the water, the products, the coaching, everything is listed on there. It's a great website, actually. It's very easy to navigate. So, and I just want to say to anyone listening too, if there's anything that Tim's been talking about that is, for me, it's like it pings you, like it lights up your world, and maybe you are looking to change something with your body, or maybe it's also got to, having a look at what regenerative farming is and what it is to be a part of contributing to the earth and the soil. And even if you have an apartment, you don't need to have a farm. It's like if you have an apartment or a backyard or something, you can start growing your own food too, and looking at the soil and what part you're playing and what action you're taking in a future that I think is really required here on planet Earth. So,
Well, and I also
Tim,
say this, Simone, is like
yeah,
vote with your dollars. Go buy from regenerative farms. Go buy from the
yes,
farmers market. Go vote with your dollars. Spend your money. Give them money. Grow some herbs on your countertop, like Simone says. That's
yeah,
food. That's
yeah,
medicine. Essential oils, basil, thyme. I mean, you can
yeah,
grow that in your home.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, and thank you. Yeah, I go to my farmers market every Sunday. I love it. Noosa Farmers Market. A shout out to them too. They are absolutely incredible. I love that. You buy the raspberries, and I know where they're from, and they pick them at 3 a.m. in the morning. Or the eggs that I buy, from Estelle's farm, and it's like, and you can go there and you can see her chickens running around, and it's like, support that. That's an action that you can take to support that. So thank you so much. What if you could, Tim, to finish off too, it's like, this is choice, change, action. What else would you like to choose, and what else would you like to change and take action? Like, what in 5 years' time, what would you like to have more as your reality?
Well, I would like to have the farm fully up and functioning.
Okay.
Educational events happening all through the year, even maybe in the winter, not so much, because I'm probably opening up something similar, like some type of a little healing retreat somewhere tropical where I can, get some sunshine and surf.
Yeah.
Um, get the
Australia.
documentary, get the documentary done on our and help a lot of farmers. I want to see healthy crops, and I want to see
Yeah.
less tilling, and I want to
Cool.
see
Awesome.
farmers making more money, and not poisoning themselves and
Yeah.
everybody else. And I'd
Okay.
like to see people taking more responsibility of their health and quit relying on politicians to do anything. I mean, give it a rest. The whole
Yeah.
system's a joke. I mean, I'm done with it. I mean, look around. Okay,
Yeah.
whoever's in office, doesn't matter. It's that this is what they've delivered. I know in the United States we're like a D in infrastructure. That's roads and bridges, people, and water
Let's
systems.
not. Yeah. Let's not talk
Like
about the
it's like
United States.
look at the results.
Yeah.
F,
It's
you get
insane.
an F, you're fired. Like so, and
Yeah.
so best way to fire them is turn the news off and start taking care of
And take
yourself.
some action. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. I fully 100%, 1,000% agree with you, Tim. It is time to take action. So, and it doesn't have to be from fight or resistance or conflict.
No,
It's take
excited.
some action. Yeah. And with
Yeah.
the enthusiasm that what you choose actually creates a different future.
Well, and think
So,
about it. If it wasn't for all this crap and this weird, crazy stuff going on and these so-called
yeah,
bad people out there, life would be kind of boring. So we have to thank them. Say, thank you so much for being Darth Vader. Now I get to be Luke Skywalker. Let's go. This will be fun.
exactly. I like that. All right. Well, Luke/Tim, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you, Leia.
um, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. And please, we'll stay in touch. And if there's anything I can contribute, let me know. And thank you for being here. And thank you, listeners, for being here too. And as I said, all the details about Tim you'll find in the subscription notes too. But you can go to chemicalfreebody.com. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Tim. Bye.
Bye-bye.